Okay, so we're ready for another deep dive, and this
Yes, I
time
know it.
we're going to be talking about anime.com.
All right.
And this is something that
That's good.
you sent me some research on
Yeah.
that,
Yeah.
when I was reading it, I thought,
Yeah.
wow, this is really
Pretty fascinating.
ambitious.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
I know that a lot of our listeners
Yeah.
are also really interested in this. So
For sure.
basically what we're going to be talking about is this idea of, Azuki
Right.
starting as just an NFT collection
Yeah.
and then kind of like
Yes.
blossoming into this whole Web3 entertainment platform and how
Yeah. They're
trying to
hopefully.
really revolutionize things.
I think what's really interesting about what they're doing is that they're not trying to just be
Yeah.
another Crunchyroll or, another Funimation.
Right.
They want to be like a Web3 entertainment hub.
Right.
So,
And it just seems so timely too, because like
yeah.
Web3 is kind of merging
Yeah.
with AI right now. So there are all of these new sophisticated
Yeah.
user engagement tools and
Absolutely. And it's kind of a perfect storm, I think, for them to come in and try to disrupt things.
right.
Because the tools are there to really allow for this kind of deep community interaction in a way that we haven't really seen before.
Okay. So
Mm-hmm.
for those of us who haven't quite wrapped our heads around Web3 yet,
Sure.
can we just break down, like, what does that even mean in this context?
Yeah. So basically think about it as like using blockchain technology to
Right.
create a more decentralized internet. So instead of having like these big companies like, your Netflixes or
Yeah.
your big studios controlling everything,
Right.
the idea is to give power back to the users. So
Mhm.
in this case, it would mean like you could own a piece of the platform through NFTs.
Okay.
You could participate in like decision-making processes,
Yeah.
and you could potentially even earn rewards
Wow.
based on your level of engagement. So it's not just about being a passive viewer anymore.
That's right. It's about actually being invested.
Yeah. So you're like really a part of it.
Exactly. You're a stakeholder.
Yeah.
You have a voice.
And that ties into their big focus on these customizable avatars too,
Yes.
right?
Yeah.
I mean, it's not just about making a cool looking avatar. It's about really letting users like
Right.
build an identity in this world.
Yeah, like a digital identity that really reflects, your personality and your passions
Yeah.
within this anime.com world. And
Yeah.
they're doing some really cool stuff with AI to make this customization so much more
Oh,
nuanced and expressive than what we've seen in like, your typical video game or online platform.
yeah.
You can really get granular with it.
So it's kind of like almost like a metaverse-y type of thing.
It is very much in line with that whole metaverse trend
Right.
where you're creating this persistent online identity that you can carry with you across different experiences.
Right. And the research shows that the more that we can personalize our digital presence.
Right. The more connected and invested we feel in that space.
Absolutely. And that's particularly true for a community like anime fans who are already so passionate
Yeah.
about expressing themselves, through their love of these characters and stories.
Yeah. They're already cosplaying and, going
Yep.
to these conventions and
They're already living and breathing this world.
Exactly.
So giving them a digital space to do that as well just makes so much sense.
and that's where this whole idea of the convergence of anime and Web3 gets really
Yeah.
interesting.
Right.
I mean, could this be like a sign of things to come for the entire...
It very well could be because you have to think about it.
Yeah.
Traditionally, anime studios have been very kind of like top down in their approach. They decide what gets made. They
Right.
decide how it gets distributed.
They're the gatekeepers.
Exactly.
Yeah.
But with this model,
Yeah.
you're giving the power to the fans.
So the fans are the gatekeepers.
In a way, yes, because they're the ones who are going to be voting on which shows get funded.
Wow.
What merchandise gets made.
That's a lot of power.
It is, and it's even been suggested that they could influence creative decisions. So it's a level of fan interaction that we just haven't seen before.
And we've kind of seen hints of this model working
Yeah.
before with projects like Dark Machine,
Yes.
which blends Web3 and gaming and anime storytelling.
Right. They've had a lot of success with that.
Yeah, and they've built like a super engaged community.
Yeah.
So do you think Azuki can replicate that success?
That's the million-dollar question, isn't it?
Yeah.
Because Dark Machine obviously has a strong track record.
Yeah.
But Azuki is coming at it from a different angle.
Right.
I mean, they already have this existing community through their NFT collection,
Yeah.
and they're not necessarily focused on the same genres.
And then also you have to remember they kind of launched anime.com with Fractured Reflections.
Right, which leverages their existing Azuki IP. Yeah.
Exactly. So they're trying to build on what they already have.
It's a smart move to kind of start with a known foundation.
But let's be real. There were those Azuki NFT price fluctuations a while back.
Uh-huh.
Does that raise any red flags?
Yeah, I mean, there was definitely some initial market volatility when they announced anime.com,
Hmm.
which, isn't entirely unusual when a project kind of makes this big pivot.
Right.
The question is, can they deliver on their promises?
Right.
And, will the market ultimately support this vision?
Yeah.
But I think it's important to note that, like,
Yeah.
anime.com's direction does align with broader trends we're seeing in the NFT market.
Okay.
We're seeing a shift away from NFTs just being about like digital art
Yeah.
and towards them offering like real world utility.
Right.
So it's not just about owning a JPEG anymore.
Yeah.
It's about owning something that gives you access to real world perks or experiences,
Right.
or even like in this case, ownership stakes in a platform.
Yeah.
And I think that added value could really attract a wider audience.
What's the main takeaway here?
Well, I think the main takeaway is that anime.com is a really bold experiment.
Okay.
Azuki is trying to bridge this gap between traditional anime
Yeah.
and the decentralized world of Web3.
Right.
And whether they succeed or not, I think it raises a really crucial question for you, the listener.
Mhm.
Could platforms like this, with their emphasis on community engagement and ownership,
Yeah.
eventually disrupt the way that anime is produced and distributed?
That is definitely something to ponder.
Yeah.
I'm grabbing my popcorn and settling in because this is
Yeah.
going to be a
Me
really...
too. It's going to be interesting to see how this all plays out.
Yeah.
For sure.
All right. Well, thanks for all the great insights.
Absolutely. Anytime.
And we'll see you next time for another
Sounds good.
deep dive.
Looking forward to it.
All right. Bye.